Alright, Travis Wayne Goodsell. You have not had the previous two videos. I've got to start them right now. I am watching Apocalypto, so it's okay on this one. They don't have English subtitles, so I can't understand what they're saying anyway. It's the Mel Gibson version after he did his Jesus Christ movie. And in this one, it starts off with a quote by W. Durant. And I didn't get an opportunity to write it down. But it had something to do with destroying yourself. Before you are destroyed from without, a people destroy themselves from within. Something to that effect. And I had just gotten to the one scene where the total solar eclipse occurs, as the conquered tribe is getting sacrificed by the more civilized tribe, and they got their freedom as a result of the total solar eclipse. As the priest was able to fool the people who were all scared and frightened. Oh no, it's the end of the world! And so the priest then shouts out a prayer or a spell to God, and magically the moon passes on by. And it's interesting that it's a new moon, and so people can't see the new moon until it starts to cross over the light, be in darkness. And so it's kind of sneaky that way. But apocalypse. And that Durant quote is part of it. You have internal fighting, civil war between two different tribes, and then the Vikings come from without and conquer everyone. And, Mel knew, and he didn't tell anybody that he knew. As much as he's a racist, he does good work with movies. His Lethal Weapon was, I think, how I was introduced to him. I don't know if I've seen his previous work previous to Lethal Weapon, because right about the time that I was watching R-rated movies, Lethal Weapon came out. And just awesome. So let's see. This one's the comment reply to drink bleach. Not to drink bleach. So let's see. Comment reply to LDS Mormons. Do not drink bleach. Or is it bleach? English language sucks. It's interesting. I used to be able to correctly spell words that had a C in it without putting a G, and G's without putting in a C. And then I studied Hebrew. And I recognized I was starting to make that typing error. Hilarious. Yeah, it's the A. Not like speech. Okay. Do not drink bleach. So my comment reply, my videos have lately been having some breaking, shocking, new revelation stuff in it. So I know they're long, but what else have you got to do? Alrighty, there we go. And I'm not going to bother to put in, this is not the Church of Joseph Smith. These are not the droids you were looking for. So, excuse me for that. Okay, that one's the one that's recording. 0 bytes. Alright, so we need to go back. Is it 3? I don't think it's 3. I think it's just 2 videos for it. Yeah, 46. I hope that's not the case. So let's wait and find out. But the church leaders, our government leaders, they're all exterminating us now. They consider us unworthy. That's why they waited for the signs in the heavens. And so that they can destroy Christianity and the ignorance that comes from it, and destroy mankind for their wickedness, using religion as the front for their justification to murder us. Just like the Danites called themselves the Danites, the judges in the Mormon church. They were finding Joseph Smith and his family unworthy because it was actually revenge rather than unworthiness. But Brigham Young was not going to put in Section 85 in the Doctrine and Covenants, just like he didn't put in his talk on July 19th, 1840, and just like he took out pretty much everything from his conversation with the monogamous couple, that he told them that their monogamous relationship would get them exalted. That was to cover up Brigham Young's attempt to change it to polygamy is required for exaltation in Section 132 that he added, which is when he also added Section 85, was when he added Section 132 the year before he died. But the Times and Seasons had Section 85, and so we can confirm that was with Joseph. Section 132, even in the Joseph Smith papers, they just put it all by itself. No commentator that's involved in this. And what is it? The Klingon Skousen son, Royal Skousen, was involved in this to protect the church and to explain away the difficult passages. I just love to use those certain key words to distract people with. But Section 132, all by its lonesome. No commentary, no nothing. All by itself. No external supporting evidence for it, nothing. And so the church just goes on their way saying, yeah, Joseph Smith practiced it, here's Section 132. That's all the evidence you need. No, linguistically it's inconsistent. That alone, but there's more. So, yeah, that's what they're planning. That's why they're murdering the high priests. First, Nelson stopped the elders from becoming high priests, and then he is now exterminating the high priests, so that he and the worthy high priests will be rewarded with 10 Mormon virgin girls who will probably be 14 years old since they have good immune systems. The poor don't have good immune systems. And so any elders who have a wife, you notice they've stopped marriages now. Even those who had appointments, they had to get married beforehand. So good luck surviving. But don't be surprised if your wife gets taken away from you, elder, because you're unworthy now. That's what's going to happen. That's what Brigham did to the Mormon men when he moved to this valley. He had already extorted marriage to a whole ton of women who were without a man, so that they would come to the valley with him, because women back in those days couldn't take care of themselves. They needed a man. It wasn't that they weren't capable, it's just that society would not allow it. And Brigham Young took advantage of that. And Heber C. Kimball, and when I learned that he had taken Hiram's wife and son, and I'm not going to get through that. After I learned that he had been involved in the murder of Hiram and Joseph, that's just cold. And so, of course, he was able to turn Joseph Fielding Smith to the dark side of the force. Alright, it's ready to play. Alright. And set start point to adjust the audio with my voice. Alright, I'll actually skip on the bed. Okay, so that's my midnight one. That's the comment replies. Alrighty. Comment reply to LDS Mormons: do not drink bleach. Probably could put the bleach, but you gotta watch it to understand why. So if you're just coming to this one and you didn't go to the others, go back and watch the others, guys. LDS Mormons. Do not drink bleach with an A. Alrighty. Sinking in quicksand. Which looks more like a tar pit. Alrighty. So that's going to take a while to save. So that's mostly what this video is for, is what I recognized on Apocalypto, that the total solar eclipse means what it means. For the characters in the show, they knew it as a bad omen. And so the priest then acted accordingly to appease the people and calm their fears and restore faith and trust to the king. That's what the priest was there for. And but ours, the news would interview astronomers for this ancient practice and belief and manner, and that's the wrong guys to interview. Astronomers don't know anything about it. All they say is, oh yeah, they have some kooky belief that it means the end of the world or the death of the government or king. It's a bad sign. They don't know. We who went into the field to study it, we know. And by we, I mean me. I was taught that. That was my education. And the Assyrian story, that was a real story. The Assyrian king who had planned to go to battle against another tribe further into the Persian region. And he checked with his astrologers, and the astrologers said, yeah, I don't see any coming solar eclipses or any other bad omen in the heavens. So it's safe to go to war. And so they traveled a long journey to the east to battle this group, and total solar eclipse occurs. And so he's like, "Hey, priests, what the hell?" And they said, well, what we can do." See, they didn't realize that it was because they were too far east. And so the priests at first said, "We'll murder a substitute king for a day. We'll pick one of the peasant soldiers, elevate him to king for a day, and then at the end of the day sacrifice him. And that will satisfy the gods." And so they do that. And then the priests then realize, which you'd think that once they realized it, that they should have not mentioned it to the king. But they then told the king, "Oh, it's because we were further east. That's why our star charts are only for Assyria." Oops. And so the king was furious that they didn't know about the earth, and then having murdered an innocent man who didn't need to die. And so the king had his priests murdered, assigned new priests to take over their places, and proceeded forth in the battle. And during the battle, he conquered the other king, which was what it meant, that he was going to be conquered. And the king now had confidence and did actually win. And so here we are in America, that we are now destroying ourselves within, as part of the art of war tactic that I've been telling you guys about, before the coming of the attack from without. Just like Babylon coming into Jerusalem, which the Book of Mormon goes over that scenario repeatedly, and I did that video. And so, yeah, we're in it, and the enemy is purposely doing it because they know the Bible signs. They found out from the Knights Templar, and are using it against the Knights Templar as a mockery that they had failed to save America, to restore the kingdom of David, and are destroying America and destroying Christianity to put the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Church of Lucifer, the inverted pentagram of the Illuminati, the enemy, as the main church after this Armageddon that we're going through. And they keep torturing us, keep withholding aid and the necessary medical attention that is needed, and they're purposely destroying the economy in the process for us, as over 30 million now are unemployed, and it's just going to keep rising. There's mass layoffs this week, which means next week is going to be huge. But our government purposely is not allowing anything to protect us with. And so there's food insecurity coming very soon. Utah is already experiencing high volumes of murders and house burnings, just like the Danites did, getting Joseph Smith in trouble. But is Nelson getting in trouble for any of this? Nope. Just like Brigham Young didn't get in trouble for any of it. Because Brigham Young stepped back, let those guys do their thing, and just bided his time to rise up and take over Thomas B. Marsh's presidential position in that quorum, and then take over Joseph's position. And so Nelson's doing the same thing. He closed the church, closed the food bank, or the bishop storehouses, not giving us any supplies. He gave it to China instead and said, hey, can you do us a favor if we give you these supplies? Can we have that temple in Shanghai? We'll follow all your rules and regulations. We just want a temple in Shanghai so that we can impress the Mormons to distract them from the fact that we're not giving them food and medical equipment. Alrighty, I'm not going to go on any further here. I just wanted to point out the Mel knew and didn't tell us. Mel's Illuminati, he's a lethal weapon. I loved how he just totally mocked and the psychiatrist, psycho lady. So the TV version on Fox, I was not happy that they were trying to present psychiatry in a good light. Psychiatry is a fraud. They're not science. And that's the whole problem that we're having right now, is people are science deniers. And that's purposely being done by these elite Illuminati who are destroying us. Trump being included, as he wants us to drink bleach. That they're confusing people. They're misinforming and disinforming, and psychiatry is on the front lines of misinformation and disinformation. As they say, oh, gee, you're locked up in cabin fever. Oh, come to us. We'll help you through this tough time. Oh, Trump didn't give you your stimulus check? Oh, don't blame him. You are the one responsible for knowing how to budget properly. You should have been prepared. Now, let's figure out how we can do things now that you're unemployed and you only have this final check. You have to spend it appropriately, so we're going to need to cut out your entertainment. That's how the enemy works. They don't want you to have a good life. They want you to suffer. They want you to slave for them. They call it working hard. To be rewarded. That's the whole setup for retirement, is that we, the slaves, have to work our whole lives, and then finally when we're old and can't do it like we used to, we get to retire with the savings that we set aside in order to suffer during our whole lives. And then made worse by saying that parents needed to save for their kids, so that's even less money that they get. And the rich, they are already a success. Daddy handed it to them as their inheritance. And so they're already retired, but demanding that every one of us slave for our lives so that we can have a retirement. But as people who are retiring nowadays are finding out, they have to keep going to work, because the retirement Social Security is not enough. Oops. I wonder who was the cause of that. So, oh, he is going to save his wife and kid. Good. A happy ending after all. Although it's raining, he's got to save them. And she's still pregnant. You'd think after all that long journey to the other tribe's place. Uh-oh. Oh, got him. Oh. Alright, so I'm going back to the show. The first movie of 3 now is at 56% saved. So, just understand, guys, it's the end of the world. And the enemy are purposely causing it. It ain't no supernatural thing. Though I'm still thinking about things, and I've alluded to it in my other videos, and I'm not sure how to present it to you guys. So just understand that there's Con Air. I'll refer you to Con Air for that. Nicolas Cage. Mormons won't watch it, it's R-rated. But John Penny, who I was with in Canada through a seminary training program, he came down to BYU to continue his education and got a hold of me. This was after Stephanie had left me. And so his wife was not too sure about me, but she's far better. I wanted my wife to hang out with her way back in Canada rather than the ones she instead chose to hang out with, of whom the leader of the pack, her husband, committed suicide because of her abuse of him. And they got the police to say, oh, well, he was mentally ill, so, you know, it's his fault. Yeah, John took me to Con Air, and he was trying to say, is it okay? Because lots of rumors spread by that first ex as she went back up to Canada. It was the perfect movie, because at the end of the movie I was like, see from the movie? See what I'm talking about? If you don't know Con Air, Nicolas Cage is a ranger, a military ranger, and he came back from service, came back to his wife, but the first night back, they're at the bar where she works as a waitress, and she's going to get raped, and he steps in to save her, as his life was also put in danger, and instead of considering it self-defense, because he was a ranger trained as a killer, the court found him guilty of the murder of the guys that he was defending them from, and served prison time. And so thus Con Air is they were transporting him to back in society after serving his time, and he's with a cellmate who also was being released at the same, or getting transferred, I think. I don't think he was getting released, but he had diabetes, and so on this Con Air flight, in the transfer process, it was hijacked, taken over by the Con Air, and they're causing havoc. Awesome movie. I'm wanting to watch it again now, but I can't because I'm already hitting it. The ending song with Trisha Yearwood, "Put the Bunny Down." He's on the plane, and the insulin is damaged, destroyed, and so Nicolas Cage needs to go find insulin for him, and says, "I'm gonna prove to you God does exist." An awesome scene. So I'm not sure if you guys are ready to handle that yet, but I gotta end this video, as you can tell.